What if the most helpless creature in human history was not prey, but the human baby? No crib, no monitor, no safe bedroom, just darkness, hunger, cold, sickness, and a tiny body that could not survive alone. But that weakness may have created something powerful, the human village. Watch until the end to discover why ancient babies survived and why humans were never meant to raise children alone. Tonight, somewhere in the modern world, a parent will put a baby to sleep in a quiet room. There may be a crib, soft sheets, a baby monitor glowing on the nightstand, a closed door, a white noise machine, and maybe one exhausted adult whispering, "Please, just sleep for more than 14 minutes. To us, that looks normal. But for most of human history, a baby sleeping alone was not normal. It was dangerous. No crib, no monitor, no pediatrician, no formula, no antibiotics, no locked house, no safe bedroom separated from the world. Just darkness, cold, hunger, insects, sickness, predators, and a tiny human body that could not walk, could not feed itself, could not protect itself, and could not even understand that crying might attract the wrong kind of attention. Human babies may be the strangest survival problem our species ever created. They are born helpless, loud, needy, fragile, and unfinished. And somehow, ancient humans kept them alive long enough for those babies to become the people who carried the species forward. So how did ancient humans actually keep their children alive? The answer is not that ancient parents were magically stronger than modern parents. The answer is that they did something modern life has quietly forgotten. They did not raise children alone. The first problem was the baby itself. A newborn horse can stand within hours. A newborn chimpanzee can grip its mother's fur almost immediately and hold on while she moves through the forest. A newborn human cannot even hold up its own head. It cannot walk for about a year. It cannot feed itself for years. It cannot stay warm by itself. It cannot escape danger. It cannot understand predators, fire, cliffs, dirty water, disease, or the fact that the world is full of objects that should absolutely not go into its mouth. And the reason is the human brain. Humans evolved large brains, but a large brain creates a difficult problem at birth. If a baby's brain grew too much before birth, childbirth would become even more dangerous than it already was. So evolution made a trade. Human babies are born with much of their brain development still unfinished. They leave the womb early, compared with what their future brain will require. And then a huge amount of growth happens after birth, while the baby is completely dependent on others. That was the price of becoming human. We got flexible minds, language, imagination, planning, culture, and eventually the ability to argue online with strangers. But the cost was extreme helplessness at the beginning of life. A human baby was not just a child. It was a long-term survival project that required food, warmth, protection, carrying, teaching, patience, and a terrifying amount of attention. So how did ancient humans solve this impossible problem? They turned childcare into a group project. Anthropologist Sarah Blaffer-Hrdy argued that humans are not like many other great apes, where the mother raises the infant mostly alone and guards it from others. Humans became cooperative breeders, meaning children survived because many people helped carry, feed, protect, and respond to them. This was not just kindness. It was survival math. One adult body could not easily carry a baby, gather food, watch for predators, recover from birth, feed older children, maintain social bonds, and stay alive without help. So the baby belonged to the mother, but the work of survival belonged to the group. In some forager societies studied by anthropologists, infants are held by many different people throughout the day. Mothers, fathers, grandmothers, aunts, older siblings, neighbors, and other trusted adults. The child moves from one pair of arms to another, like the whole community is a living safety net. That matters because a baby is not only protected by food, a baby is protected by attention. Someone notices when it cries. Someone picks it up. Someone moves it away from danger. Someone warms it. Someone watches when the mother sleeps. Someone knows which child is too close to the fire, too close to the river, too quiet, or too sick. This is social psychology at the beginning of life. Human childhood did not survive because one perfect parent did everything right. It survived because enough people cared enough to keep watching. Quick check. If you have ever held a crying baby and watched them suddenly calm down the moment they were pressed against the body, you have seen something ancient still running. If that feels strangely powerful, hit like, because apparently babies come with survival software that predates every parenting book ever written. And And if you want more videos about the strange psychology behind ancient human life, subscribe here. Because the past gets much more interesting when we stop imagining ancient people as simple. One of the biggest differences between human babies and other primate babies is that human babies cannot cling well enough to stay safe on their own. When early humans lost much of the body hair that other primate infants could grip, babies had to be carried. All the time. On the hip, against the chest, in arms, in slings made from hides, fibers, or cloth-like materials, near the fire, while walking, while gathering, while the group moved from one place to another. Carrying was not just transportation. It was survival technology. When a baby is picked up and held close, its body often calms. Crying decreases, breathing steadies, the baby becomes quieter. In a modern house, that feels like comfort. In an ancient landscape, it could mean safety. A crying baby could draw attention. A baby pressed against a moving body could stay warmer, quieter, and closer to protection. The baby did not understand predators, but the body knew something simple. When carried, stay close, stay quiet, stay alive. Keeping children alive also meant solving the food problem, and ancient baby food was nothing like the modern aisle at a supermarket. There were no bottles, no formula, no sterilized containers, no powdered cereal, no clean tap water, no emergency pharmacy if contaminated food made a baby sick. For infants, breast milk was the safest food in the world. It was clean, warm, nutritionally complete, and carried immune protection in a world where infection could kill quickly. In many traditional societies, breastfeeding could continue for years, not because people were following a parenting trend, but because it was one of the most reliable ways to keep a child alive. It also helped space births. Frequent nursing can suppress ovulation, which meant a mother was less likely to have another baby immediately. And in a world where one helpless infant already demanded enormous energy, having another too soon could make survival harder for both. But babies eventually need more than milk. Before blenders and soft packaged food, adults had to make tough food edible. One method was premastication. An adult chewed meat, roots, or other foods until they were soft enough for a child, then transferred that food directly to the baby. To modern people, that can sound uncomfortable. But in a world without baby food, it was practical. Feeding a child was not one neat private act. It was a chain of bodies, knowledge, immune protection, food sharing, and care. Then there were the grandmothers, and this may be one of the most important twists in human evolution. Many animals do not live long after reproduction ends. But human women can live for decades after menopause, which raises a strange evolutionary question. Why would natural selection favor a long life after direct reproduction? One influential answer is called the grandmother hypothesis. Anthropologist Kristen Hawkes and others studied hunter-gatherer groups such as the Hadza, where older women contributed enormous amounts of food by foraging, digging tubers, and feeding grandchildren. That matters because a grandmother could help keep older children fed while the mother cared for a new baby. In other words, grandmothers did not just give advice nobody asked for. They changed the survival equation. A child with help from an older, skilled, experienced woman had access to food, memory, warnings, teaching, and protection that a young mother alone might not be able to provide. This is where family becomes more than emotion. Family becomes infrastructure. A grandmother knows which roots are edible, which plants are dangerous, where food appears after rain, how to calm a child, how to recognize sickness, and how to keep going when younger adults are exhausted. That kind of knowledge is not glamorous. It is better than glamorous. It is the kind of invisible labor that keeps a species alive. Maybe one reason humans live so long is that children needed more than parents. They needed elders. So how did ancient humans actually keep their children alive? Not with perfect parenting. Not with quiet nurseries. Not with one exhausted adult doing everything alone while pretending that burnout is normal. They kept children alive with touch, carrying, breastfeeding, shared food, older siblings, fathers, aunts, neighbors, grandmothers, group attention, and constant social care. A baby survived because the group made the baby everyone's problem. And that should change how we look at modern parenting. When a parent today feels overwhelmed, lonely, trapped, or broken at 3 a.m. with a crying baby, that is not proof that they are weak. It may be proof that they are trying to do something humans were never designed to do alone. For most of our history, childcare was not a private performance, it was a social system. The question was not whether one parent could be strong enough. The question was whether enough people cared enough to help. And the only reason any of us are here is that, again and again, enough people did. Human babies were born unfinished, but human groups became the missing piece. If this changed how you see ancient parenting, comment one word you associate with it. Village, mother, grandmother, survival, care, or something else.